why linking KPIs or metrics to rewards or bonuses is bad for your business. Lots of companies develop strategies, they set goals, they define metrics and KPIs, and then they think it's a really good idea to then reward the people when they deliver on those metrics. The challenge is that this very often drives the wrong behaviors, because these metrics then become targets, and people will deliver on those targets. So if I'm a chief executive of a company and I get rewarded by improving my profits, right? So in an ideal world, you would sell more, increase profit margins, and make more money. The challenge is that I can also improve my profits if I simply cut costs. So in the short term, I can simply take money out of the business, which make the business not perform very well in the long run. But if I'm rewarded over the next few years on improving profitability, that's an easy way to achieve that. A really good example comes from an airport. So I was working with this airport and they asked me to improve their performance management processes and the way they were measuring performance. Because what happened before I started working with them is that they identified some of the strategic priorities. And one of the areas they wanted to look at was baggage handling. Basically, it was taking too long to get the luggage off the planes and onto the conveyor belt in the luggage reclaim area. So they did some benchmarking, they looked at some of the top performing airports and found that they were a lot faster. And they could do this in about 15 minutes. And this airport, they were running at a 30-40 minute time frame. So the chief executive gathered all the luggage handling teams together, made a big announcement saying, okay, 15 minutes, this is your new target. And if you deliver this, you will get a great bonus in your Christmas pay. So they all got quite excited and they started to work on ways to improve this. Interestingly, one of the luggage handling teams achieved this target very quickly. So the CEO thought, we better look at what they're doing. We can spread this best practice and see and tell everyone else what they need to do differently. So when they watched this team, what they found out is basically as soon as the plane docked in the final parking spot, one of the guys from the luggage handling team ran to a car that they had access to, a little runaround car at the airport. He raced to the aircraft, took the first piece of luggage, raced back to the terminal and put this on the conveyor belt. Because basically this is how they were measuring it. From the minute the plane docked to the minute the conveyor belt started with the first bag on. And I travel a lot and I see these individual pieces of luggage going around conveyor belts at airports all over the world, and I sometimes wonder maybe this practice has spread quite widely. So what can they do differently? For me, it's about not linking it to bonuses, not actually making this indicator a target. Another story that I often talk about in my seminars and workshops and presentations is one from India. So the Indian government wanted to clean up some of the slums they had in some of the big cities, and in one particular city there was a big slum and the biggest problem there were rats. They had lots of rats there and they wanted to basically get rid of them. So they thought, okay, how about, because what they can't do is they can't just go into people's dwellings and put rat poison down and catch those. So they thought a really good idea would be to involve the people in this process. And because they're quite poor, if we give them some money for every rat they're catching, that would solve the problem. This would be a win-win. We get rid of the rats and those people earn some money, right? Great idea. What do you think happened? After installing this process for about a month, instead of reducing the problem, the rat problem became worse because basically people started breeding rats. They saw every rat as a little dollar sign in their head, and I thought, if we can just breed more and more of these rats, we bring them to the government and we make money from this. This for me is another example of actually this is what you don't want. You don't want to drive the wrong behaviors by linking indicators to bonus payments. For me, KPIs should be seen as something that helps me as an individual. It should not be something that I am evaluated on that then determines how much I get paid. And I've worked with some of the largest organizations in the world where we actually shifted this process. And so instead of hardwiring indicators to bonus payments, we now have a process where these indicators become information tools, where people are free to deliver, not deliver them, that hasn't got an immediate impact on their bonus payment, and where then their bonuses is determined based on actual performance. So they have in Shell, for example, one of the largest oil companies in the world, what we did there is that instead of linking all the KPIs directly to a bonus, there is now a remuneration committee that looks at how well did we actually perform as a business, and then this determines the bonus pool instead of hardwiring it. Because one of the biggest factors of business performance is oil price. So if the oil price peaks, should everyone receive a massive bonus, even if they haven't done anything differently? And then you also need to put your performance relative to other performances, other companies in the sector. So this would be my recommendation. Don't ever hardwire KPIs to bonuses and rewards, because this is very likely to turn them into targets, which is then driving the behaviors that you don't want.